What you doing? I'm DHC. This is alcoholandanime. Woo! Okay, been a little while. Finally doing another episode of this alcohol anime podcast, and doing it live again on Twitch because that's what I want to start doing. So, if you're listening to this in the future, that means you're not listening to it when I talk about it live on Twitch. But yes, you might have figured it out from the title or the thumbnail, depending on how you and where you watch slash listen to this. Um, I'm talking about the One Piece film Red, or One Piece film Red. Not exactly sure how they title it. Should probably look more up into that and exactly what they're going to be doing, what they did with it. Um, I'm probably rusty, but it's fine. It's a One Piece film Red. One Piece film Red. Or One Piece film Red would have made more sense to me. No, that wouldn't have made sense either. Why not just One Piece Red? No need to film. Probably figure it out. But, guess not to get to any misunderstandings or whatever. But, oh well, that's what I'm going to be talking about for this episode. Of course, if anybody pops in the chat, I'll talk to them too. I'm going to try to keep it non-spoiler free for the first part when I talk about the film. Now I'm going to talk about as much as I can remember. But before I get into that, I always like to start with alcohol, of course. And you can tell I'm a little burpy. But I want to kind of mix this up. What do I want to talk about first? Do you even want to talk about alcohol first? Or do I want to talk a little bit about the circumstances of how I saw the film? Now, some of it would make sense. Some of it won't. What to do, what to do. I'll just talk about alcohol first, because that's the first thing in the name. That's usually the first thing I do anyways. But, whenever I do, in case I forget, I'll try to remember to say when it gets spoily. If it doesn't, I'm sure when I edit this, I'll remember to at least put it somewhere in the description where it starts to get spoily. But that won't be for a little bit, because I got so much to say about drinks. If I'm even going to talk that much about drinks or whatever. Oh, okay, so since this is One Piece, of course, just this whole recording the podcast thing was last minute, whatever. Because I realized, even though the film was supposed to come out on Friday and came out in the U.S. on Thursday, I was like, hey, Thirsty Thursdays, I could record a podcast live, drunk, whatever, and it will make sense. But I realized that sometime when I was working on Wednesday, I was like, oh, if I'm going to do this, I kind of have a lot of stuff to plan. There's not that much to plan, really. But I was like, okay, well, I need at least a drink, because that's the whole point of the podcast. Well, that's the whole point of half the podcast is what I'm going to drink. So I was like, I'll just pick up something. I was like, okay. I immediately remembered there's a beer I like. I don't remember the brewery. It's some brewery out of Atlanta. But there's a beer called a Blind Pirate. And I was like, hey, I could get some reds. Apple, I don't know, hard apple cider or something like that. What the fuck are you? I don't know, something like that. Yeah, I'll just mix those two. Easy, Blind Pirate, red in the name, even though there's an extra D. But I was like, no, I gotta be a little more creative. And I was like, oh, duh, One Piece, they're pirates. At least they can. It has to at least be something rum. So it's like, okay, there must be some kind of like red rum because the theme of the title is red. You know, I went looking. I looked it up. I was like, okay, red rum. Apparently, there is a brand called Red Rum that I could not find. There's also mixed drinks called Red Rum. There's apparently some racing horse that was called Red Rum. A movie called Red Rum. All kinds of Red Rum out there. Just nothing prepared for me in this kind of late minute endeavor. But I was really set on Blind Pirate and Reds or a Red Ale of some kind. It didn't really seem as creative, but then it's me. I'm not very creative either. And I was like, I could look up some kind of cocktail or whatever that would fit. But then I was also like, I want this to be something more original to me. So I opted for not creative, not very interesting at all. I was like, I'm just gonna get rum of some kind and just color it red. Because that's my creativity. And it's just kind of red rum. Except for I took it an extra step. So, before I even show you the drink. And that's not bad. I haven't tried my drink. Well, I just tried my drink. Just tried the drink for the first time. And this is what I used. I used Cruzan strawberry rum. It's not very strong rum, so it would have been easy to mix with my other thing, which is Red's Wicked Apple. It says Wicked Apple. Ale? Oh, it is an ale. Is it considered a red ale, though? Or is it just Red's ale? I don't know. So yeah, I still stuck with the Red's ale, mainly because I saw this as an individual big boy can. I was like, I'll get it anyways, and just mix it in. But then I was like, I still want it to be red ale or red rum. So then I just have some grenadine syrup just to color it more reddish. And it is kind of more reddish. Because it's more reddish from the top than from... It's kind of because it's not a clear cup. But it is slightly red tinted. I could use more syrup, but then I thought that would make it even weirder. And also just so sweet. It'll make it so sweet if I did any more. And really, I don't need it to be that red. It's red in spirit, if anything, and that's good enough for me. It's actually not bad. I took a sip. I just took another sip. Not bad. Expecting actually a lot worse. And also, and this goes more into the experience of actually even going and watching the movie. I had to go see it in theaters because it was supposed to come in theaters in the U.S. November 4th. Today is November 3rd. Make sure that date's right, which means it came out a day early wherever, which makes no sense for my theater. I'm pretty sure it came out a day early all around the U.S. I don't live in a small town. I don't live in a big town. I don't even live in a kind of big town. I live in something of a town, but definitely not one you expect something to get early, and we always get anime films early, so I assume everyone always gets the anime films early. But Crunchyroll was definitely just talking it up, like, it comes out on November 4th, and then there was one post they did that was like, you can get tickets and go see it on November 3rd too, and then there's like, who's ready for tomorrow? And I was like, is tomorrow here already? Because I am literally sitting, I even posted or replied to Crunchyroll and was like, I'm literally sitting in the theater right now waiting to watch the movie. Guess tomorrow came early. But yeah, so I had to go see it in theaters, and I was like, I want to keep the theater mood up. And I got me a cup from, well, it's a Regal cup, but I saw it in an AMC theater. This is from when I went and saw the My Hero Academia film last year. I think it was last year. Oh, it was okay. It was a little disappointing. I should have done one of these for that, but I didn't. Because I was like, if I went and saw a movie in a theater and then tried to do a podcast on it, I'll forget everything, or I won't be able to be as drunk, blah, blah, blah. This is the second one I've done, or third one I've done after seeing it in a theater. But this one, I'm doing it right away. So, because, everything I explained earlier, it's on Thursday, I could go see it. I could immediately come home and talk about it since I wasn't worrying about a guest this time, and stream since I haven't streamed it in a while. All I had to do is think of a drink I could make up real quick, and well, I made it. Also, everything's red. I didn't say it. Cruzan strawberry, only because it's a red label. Red's one, the name and the can is red, and then grenadine, of course, everything's red on it too. So that's the drink thing. But I was like, I finally will get to come and do this. Hopefully, remember it pretty well. I feel like I do remember it pretty well. I'll at least, once I get to the spoiler parts, talk about the main points, the points that matter to me the most. Most likely what I'm going to say isn't going to spoil too much, since I tend to care more about the things that don't matter as much. But of course, I'm sure I'll reveal the big plot points and whatever. Some of it's pretty obvious from the beginning, but I'll get to that once I'm done talking about drinks. So yeah, since I went to a theater, I couldn't drink. I have one of those lame theaters where I'm at now. It was much better when I lived in Honolulu. I could drink at that theater, but I don't live there now. I live in a smaller, less cool town, city, whatever you want to call this place. And I couldn't drink in the theater. And of course, even then, I still would have to drive home. And I want to be responsible. I may drink so much all the time, but I'm going to still be responsible enough and say don't drink and drive, because you shouldn't. So I had a beer before I went into the movie because it's a long movie. To my surprise, I didn't even realize that for the longest time. And it's like, I'll sober up. So I had one of these whole cans of Reds, which is also 8%, before I went into the movie. And it was good. Just so I can at least say I drank. I didn't drink during the movie, but I drank right before the movie. Good enough. And then I drove home. Here I am, drinking now again. Everything's good. So, like I said, didn't do any cocktails. The red rum brand I saw, it's supposed to be some kind of really sweet rum. I wasn't even sure if it was actually red. Of course, the bottle was red, but I don't know if the actual liquor would have been red. I couldn't see that. Now, I saw some recipes for like pretty much similar to what I did, but with more fruit. Some kind of rum. I don't even remember exactly what they use, which kind of rum. But then grenadine, some fruit, blah blah blah, other stuff. Everything just made it seem really sweet, which I guess that makes sense. I don't know what about red would make it seem sweet. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's kind of how it came. I guess I was still influenced about drinks I saw. But I was really wanting to be like, okay, well, is that it? Is that all I'm doing? Drinks based off of the word red? Yes, that is all I did, but I could have been more creative. I thought about more. The other things I thought it was like, okay, I know it's going to be something music related. How about because Uta and sings and that? I mean, they pretty much just tell you all that. What else could it? What kind of music drink will I do? And then other podcast episodes I have talked about like a drink for each character. And I thought about doing some of that too. There's a lot of characters. And there's a lot to go on. And I could feel like that would be the whole podcast. But do I want to do that? And also because my mind's just blanking because there's such a last minute thing. Even though I never planned any of the other drinks beforehand either. Man, what would I do? Okay, so one, this would definitely be for Shank. Something red, because that's the whole reason the name comes from is red Shanks and blah blah blah. And though Uta, I don't know. She has some red in her, half red, almost kind of like Todoroki, but a very similar design to Todoroki, kind of, besides the scar. But something musical. When I think music, I always think snobby, even though I'm a music person. I still think snobby. And I always think of wine. What about red wine? She had a red and a white wine. A rosé? No, it needs to be an actual mix. Is there a way? What you would want? That's somewhat Todoroki though. But get a nice red, nice white wine. Put them in a glass with something that splits, that where you can drink them. That keeps them separated. You drink them, but something classy. I don't know. Or something sweet, but something hard. Oh, maybe that's why there's that duality. But which one's which? Because it's the red and white. Oh, that's getting more into talking about our character. But yeah, definitely something like that. Red wine, white wine, because I feel like wine is a snobby musical drink. Oof. I don't know. Come at me. I went to the school for music. And that's why I think what I think. But, that's as creative as I'm getting with it. You can do some cute little garnishes. I don't know, music related stuff. I can't think of anything else that'd be more musical. But it definitely, she didn't have a snobby vibe to her. That's the problem I'm thinking. So, some kind of cute glass with a split red and white wine. I wouldn't actually want to mix them, but something that could keep them split. That would be it for you, Uta. How do they say it? Oh, that's the other thing about the theater experience. I'll get to when I actually talk about the film, because I watched it dubbed. Now I'm so ashamed of myself. But other characters, I could go through the whole Straw Hat crew, but that's so many people. Thinking back to Shanks, though, I feel like you have to drink one-handed, but I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't know how that really affects the drink. I mean, nobody really drinks two-handed anyways. They usually hold the drink with one hand. And, I whenever I think of Luffy, just because he's like rubber. I think of Jägermeister just because it's black like rubber and tastes like rubber to me. I don't know, whatever I imagine liquid rubber might taste like. It's kind of what Jaeger would remind me of. Sanji should be something savory for sure. Something like rich flavor, something that would seem like a meal. Or a Bloody Mary. Because that's kind of, I mean, that has like a meal in it. Also, you can get a little spicy, just like his Diablo kick. Instead of, what do they normally use? Something even hotter than where they normally use Tabasco. Is that what they use in Bloody Marys? I've never actually had Bloody Mary. I know they put shit in it, like greens, veggies. Then everyone else. Jinbei might be something fishy. Some sake would be good for him. Something big, a big thing of sake. And with him, maybe like a nice fishy snack on the side. I know I don't really talk about food that much. I don't think that'd definitely be something. I'm having trouble with Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Chomper, Frankie, Brook. There's too many people. I'm just going to stick with that because this was a almost 2 hour long movie, and there's plenty I can talk about. But I really need to make sure I give these drinks some attention. Let's see. What there were definitely also other drinks I was thinking of, but I forgot them all. I wonder how long it's going to take me to get drunk. I haven't eaten much today. I had a little bit for lunch, and that was good. But I'm really hungry. Maybe that's why the Jinbei's sake and fishy snack sounds good. Because I'm so hungry. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Not really. They drink. Oh, yeah, more alcohol talk. I don't remember seeing them drink any rum the entire time. They drank some beer, or it looks like beer. At one point, Uta and Luffy are having like a little contest, and she tricks him with a giant glass of beer with a mega pint of beer. And I guess that's it. But I don't remember seeing any rum. Uta does have like a little tattoo on her glove or whatever that apparently Luffy drew when they was kids, and he says it's supposed to be the straw hat, but it looks like a gourd, kind of like Gar's gourd. But also, I've seen it in like I don't even remember exactly which one, but like a gourd for alcohol too. I don't know if that's a common thing or if it's just in whatever anime I'm thinking of. So yeah, that kind of reminds me of alcohol. No. Any more drink things? If anything, Usopp's would definitely have to be a shot of some kind, for sure. I mean, it has to be a shooter, a shot. Maybe a shooter because it's a long nose. But what kind? Something deceiving, for sure, because that's kind of like his whole personality thing. Also, I'm going to talk about a film. Usopp's already my favorite character. This one, even though you don't see him much, at some point it's just it's such a good moment for Usopp. Yeah, I think I'll just go and cut the alcohol talk with being finished here because I just want to talk about the film so much and other things about it and faults and whatever. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's it for alcohol talk. I'm going to keep drinking, though, of course, while I talk about the rest. I wish I could have drank more through it. The kind of film it was, it would have been cool to be drunk. It would have been awesome. But with my theater, it wouldn't be as awesome as could. I wish I could have went to a better theater. This movie actually was really big, and the sound design, the music, of course, would have been awesome. But I just didn't go to a good theater. If you can get one in surround sound, like if you can go to a theater with like just the best audio presentation you can find, do it. It would be so cool. Um, but yeah, let me actually talk more about my whole experience before. So I already talked about the theater I went to. That kind of sucked. It would have been better. I also had to watch it dubbed because I wanted this podcast. I could have watched. I went till it was like well, it was really supposed to be like 4:30, but then they pushed it back to 5 and blah blah blah. That almost made me be even more late to this. I actually made it on time, but I was late because I need to set up more stuff or whatever. Um, but then the next one would have been 7:30, but then they pushed that back to like 7:45. And I was like, that was the subbed one though, and that's the one I would want to go to because I hate dub so much. Like I'm getting okay with it because I realize people are wanting that's what they want. But or some people prefer it, and it's like okay, respect to you if that's what you want to do. I want to support English like voice actors, but especially nowadays, I don't know what they were doing in the 90s, early 2000s. They were so much better than what it feels like a lot of the newer voice actors are these days because all the new ones sound the same. I don't get it. They all I couldn't tell. I can't really tell most of them apart. Anyone that any voice actor from after like 2015, I don't think I can tell apart. It's just like they slowly started getting way down. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on it, but that's just me. I think it's just because I watched anime so for so long, I just can't. And the reason I bring this up is because I was got spoiled on who the voice actor was for Uta, and I don't like her as a YouTuber, and not that much as a person. I've never met her in person. It's Amelie. Um, she does like English covers. They're not even covers. The English parody covers of, um, anime songs, and that's a whole different thing. I also seen how she like interacts with people, and she doesn't take criticism well at all. So kind of hope she like hears this and like comes at me because that'd be fun. Because the way I've seen her interact with people, she's gotten some clout, so whatever. But I'll say that's the music stuff, and she doesn't sing in this. Luckily, I was so glad to see Otto. I don't know who that is. Uh, I'd never heard of whoever it is beforehand. Uh, does the singing voice, and I think that's funny. It's like, but of course, it's also still in Japanese. Even though it's English stuff, all the singing's still in Japanese. I was like, this is so funny. Like, you couldn't cut it as a singer, so you still had to use somewhere else. But then the original Japanese actor, Kaori Nazuka, also isn't the one singing. So, either way. And they do that with other people or other characters all the time when it comes to singing, so it's not that. But I'll have to say, as a voice actor, she's pretty much just on par with everyone else nowadays. Not bad at all, but just the same. I wouldn't be able to pick her voice out from anywhere else. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. And like I was okay going into watching One Piece dubbed because growing up I watched One Piece dubbed on TV, and I was like I'm already used to most of the characters. I think um, I must have stopped before they got to the Grand Line. Watch it dubbed because Brooks' voice threw me off, and like he's he's not one of the first people, but yeah, Brooks' voice threw me off, and I guess so. It was somewhere before Brooke I stopped watching it in English. Everyone else's voice I was used to already. Yeah, and like I said, Amelie voice not bad. I guess it would be considered a good voice actor. Uh, just I don't care much for English dub. And I've seen English dub voice actors at conventions and stuff. I think I've talked about this in other things. They also just aren't. I sound like I'm shitting on them so much because I kind of am. Not all of them are like this. I'm not saying all of them are, but some of them just don't seem to even like what they're doing, and it's just a job. Because every Japanese voice actor I've seen, even though it's in Japanese, I can't see it, but you can tell from body language how intonation stuff. They all seem to, maybe they're just a lot better actors. But I also seen a lot of other English voice actors. I also really like what they're doing and excited. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the acting part. They're just better actors. But yeah, voice acting in it, okay, it's fine. There's a lot of lot of voices that just throw me off because I'm not used to them. Like, fuck, what's his name? The one that does the barriers. And I was like, his voice sounds so fucking stupid. And not the voice actor, it's just the direction they took. Well, I guess it's the voice actor because he's the one doing the voice, but it's just such a. And it kind of fits with his, like, personality and look, but it was so dope. I don't know. Jinbei's threw me off a little bit. This is just more of me just saying why I like sub more. And I wish I could have saw it subbed because it was a weird. It threw me off a little bit of switching back between the English talking and then the Japanese singing because Japanese singing was cool. I don't know, like I said, I don't know who Otto is. Awesome though. The singing was so cool, especially as the film went on and scenes started getting more intense and like everything was happening. The music started getting like it matches the mood and started getting rough and cool and it was going hard, and that's why I wish I went and saw it in a theater that was a lot better because that would have been so much cooler. But it's fine. I'm definitely gonna look more into who Otto is because apparently Otto is a synonym anyway, so there might not even be much to look up anyways. But really cool, really good, really enjoyed that. I hope I'm sure it must be somewhere. Whenever the soundtrack or whatever comes out for this film, I'm definitely going to go back and listen to some of these, especially the later songs, the darker or more intense songs. So cool. Uh, but so that's the music. I don't, aside from Uda's singing, I don't really know, or I guess I didn't really pay that much attention to what if there was like other background music going on or sounds and stuff like that. There was a whole lot of singing. It felt like it wasn't like a non-stop musical, of course, but there was Uda singing for a lot of things, which is really cool, and I'm glad they did it. I will actually. There was one point I was like, "Oh man, I hope just like it would be so cheesy if it did." But I just want all the characters. I almost wanted it to be a whole musical. It's not. Don't worry. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but it's not an actual uh, musical or anything. Only Uta sings. Sorry if you were hoping other people would sing. Luffy jokes about singing at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the music wise and voice actor wise. For the film overall, action, story, plot, whatever. I liked it. I really liked everything that was going on. It was really cool. It had some intense moments. It just kept building. It wasn't a lot. A lot of what you see is there's this, and it kind of had it, but it was a lot like it feels like two parts. And this one, you can kind of feel that, but it also feels like it is more seamless, and they do a good job of keeping it just going forward. Of course, there's some flashbacks and stuff that kind of, just for the plot's sake and knowing who these characters are. But it did keep a good job of like going forward, and it seemed like here's half the movie, let them regroup, and here's the other half. Even though it is, but it didn't make it feel like that as much. It didn't seem like big thing. Big thing. It was like some things, bigger things, kind of more bigger things. It just kept building. And I like that. Because this is about completely neglect what I'm about to say afterwards, but it didn't have that like formula, that predictable, typical arc that films have, that even arcs in the series have. And I liked it. However, the premise was kind of really predictable. I kind of knew pretty much right away what was up with Uda. Like, before they ever get to address any, like, problem or like what was actually going to happen, because you know something's going to happen involving Uta and the island they're at and all that before they even say any of that stuff. Just seeing Uta sing, kind of her powers and all that stuff, and just a little bit of history of the island, pretty much knew right away what was going to go down. And I was right. I was pretty much completely right about everything. The only thing I didn't know was the how it was, the mechanic of how it was going to happen, because I knew pretty much who the main antagonist was going to be and why. I just didn't know. Really, I didn't know how the power worked. That's the main mystery. Is like this antagonistic power. How is that going to play into everything else that's going on and what people are actually going to have to be fighting? I knew what they was going to fight. I didn't know how they were going to be fighting it. That's pretty much it. And that part caught me off the turn. I was like, oh, that's really cool. But as far as everything else, it was also super predictable, which is fine. I watch and review and talk about stuff so much that stuff doesn't really catch me. Like, plots don't catch me off by surprise or whatever that much. So it was still enjoyable. But like I said, how they did it, like, I won't say cadence. Sure, the cadence of how it happened, since it's music stuff, that part was unpredictable. So I like that. Other novels, it was really exciting. It kind of seems slow. If you really like music, you probably love it. And then it just builds. Each thing's a little bigger. At one point, comparing it to Stampede, which I still have my Stampede stuff. I don't know where I put my poster. Oh wait, no, this poster was a Stampede. I had little cards for Stampede. It didn't feel as actiony and exciting as Stampede felt until the end. Stampede felt a lot more straightforward action. This one was trying to get you more emotionally involved and more, emotionally and because of that, by the time it got to the big part, it was so exciting. I was going for it. I was almost not tearing up. I was almost like literally about to just get on my seat and start cheering. But that would have been embarrassing because I'm in public. But also not that embarrassing because in the theater there was only 8 people. It was packed. There was a whole 8 people watching this movie on the opening showing. It was stubbed, so that might have been why. I was hoping there'd be more, honestly, but anime films aren't doing what they used to, where it was like you literally have one or 2 nights now. Go get it. They're actually giving it an actual run, so that's good. And so maybe not everyone needs to crowd into. But I was a little worried, I guess a little optimistic, that I even bought my ticket ahead of time. That's stupid convenience fee. It's whatever. Just hoping it was going to be crowded. There was only 8 people, including me. I kind of missed the like packed room, just full of otakus. Just that energy, because it's hard to get super excited when you're the only one. Or when it feels like you're the only one. I'm sure everyone else was also excited, just wasn't paying attention to them. Mainly because everyone was so spread out, because you didn't have to be. I get in the theater and there's only 2 people there. And I was like, I'm just going to sit with them, which I've done before. I went in with a group of people and we surrounded a guy before during a movie. So this wouldn't have been strange for me, but then I was also like, I don't like where they're sitting. I wanted to sit at the very top. So I went and did that. But yeah, so compared to Stampede, the story was a lot better, less straightforward than Stampede. Less, it's hard to say. This one had worldwide implications, whereas Stampede was like, it only really mattered to all those pirates that showed up to this big event in Stampede to get the log post to supposed One Piece. But it got really big. There's all these big pirates and all these groups. Pretty much, from what I remember, most of the Worst Generation. And then this one, there weren't as many pirates really, and it focused a lot more on the Navy coming in and trying to deal with stuff. There was still some group. Another thing I wonder is like when this film would take place with the rest of the series. And there's obvious things. So it has to take place sometime after, Whole Cake Island, everything with Sanji. But it doesn't feel like it takes place before they fight Kaido. And, like, at least in the anime, which is what I was keeping with, I'm a little bit behind. Um, they haven't finished that with Kaido. But it can't be right after Whole Cake Island because everyone was still separated. But and then all the samurai people are also not there because all of Luffy's the Straw Hat Pirates crew is all together again. So it must be sometime after fighting Kaido. But I don't know how that ends because it shows Big Mom is fine, and I don't know how Kaido, because spoiler for the series, I guess. Big Mom and Kaido are both there fighting. So I don't know how that ends. I'm pretty sure the manga is at least finally past that and it's going into the next arc. Which is why I think the film makes sense, because it's more about Shanks. Shanks is the last emperor they really have to encounter. I don't know how that's going to go. Well, and then of course Blackbeard, but they've already kind of had a run-in with him. So that's why this movie now makes sense. It doesn't make as much sense with the anime, but apparently a month or two ago, they did have a couple of special episodes to tie in with Uda. I haven't watched them because a little bit before that is when I started falling behind because life. But I assume they're flashback stuff, from what I could tell by literally only the image and what I would guess they would put into the series. But of course, Japan, I'm pretty sure already had the film, so this would make sense for them. I don't know. It must be sometime after fighting Kaido. However that's going to end, because I don't know. But I think that's also, they keep it kind of vague. They definitely make it seem like, they know the Big Mom pirates. Because you have Brule, they say Brule's name so many times. The pointy head, almost a star head shaped guy, and then the one Luffy fights for so long with the phenomenal observational hockey. I don't remember names. It's been years since they were on the Whole Cake Islands or whatever fighting Big Mom. You forget that. I'm pretty sure Stampede came out like right after that for me, or like right at the beginning of them getting to Wallow. What's that island? Where getting ready to move on to Kaido act. So yeah, it's been 3 years already since Stampede. Wow. That means it's been 3 years since I started talking, because Stampede was one of the first YouTube videos I made about. But yeah, I like this one story-wise a lot more than Stampede. I think they're both great. Still both some of the better anime films I've watched. I haven't watched as many One Piece films, and there's a lot. I think this one was like the 15th, which I didn't realize there was that many. Yeah, 15th feature film. And there's so many. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are on Crunchyroll now. Or some of them. Or maybe Netflix. I know some of them are streaming somewhere because I actually thought about doing some for this alcohol anime podcast before. I also know they were coming out in theaters again, and special showings too. So maybe that's what I'm getting confused with. I don't know, but that's kind of my spoiler-free review without getting into any kind of details. Oh, dang, this might run long because there's a lot of details I want to talk about. So, yeah, I think it was really good. Not as exciting action-wise as Stampede, but story-wise, I think it was a lot cooler. Just because they try to want to put in this more emotional aspect, mainly with Uta being Shank's daughter, which is understandable, and I think the story is a little better. It could have had bigger effects into the overall series, even though I don't think it's going to. I feel like it's pretty much just going to be forgotten. If Uta shows up in the series later, I'm going to be very surprised. I hope she does. I guess it's always possible, because why not? Yeah, it'd be cool. It really seemed like she was just a character they created just for this film. Because as far as I remember, it's been like, I think it's at 25 years of One Piece. Over 1,000 episodes, over 1,000 chapters, I'm pretty sure over 100 volumes. I don't remember everything. And that's going to go into one of my points later about, I might as well say, Yasop. Yasup, or whatever. Usopp's dad didn't realize he was part of Shank's crew this whole time. I don't know if they ever said that. Apparently, looking back, uh, he was revealed, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't a secret this whole time. I don't remember if like it's ever shown Usopp and Yasup have any interaction and really talk about it. Like I said, I started watching this when I was a kid. Usopp was like one of the first people to join the crew, probably 20 years ago. Ooh. So yeah, it's been a long time. I don't remember all the details, so that caught me by surprise when I saw Yasup. I was like, "Why does his name seem so familiar to Usopp?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, that's his dad! Damn it! No, was this a secret? I don't know." Man, I kind of only want to talk about Usopp and Yasup because that was actually one of the coolest moments in the film, if not the coolest moment of the film. It was so cool. I liked it so much. Usopp's also my favorite. He has been ever since I was a kid. Him and Luffy's fight over the merry-go, where I don't remember where their first ship was one of the coolest fights in the entire series. It was so good, and Usopp held his ground. It was so good. Usopp has defied Luffy more than anyone else in the crew. If there was going to be any of them to go out and start their own crew, aside from Jinbei, who already did, which made no sense that he left, Usopp would definitely be it, and he would probably be good at it. Anyways, this is a long film. Really wish I would cut back on the alcohol talk and the spoiler-free talk, because there's so much. I'll probably get through it fast. This is going to be a brief recap of what I just watched, because there's a lot to talk about. And since there's no one in check to make me talk about it, well, yeah, I'm just going to talk about whatever. So it starts off right away with, okay, not technically right away, because it starts off with showing scenes of like how terrible the pirates have been making the places, and it really focuses on pirates being terrible, but it also shows like the Navy and world government haven't really been doing anything for people that really need it, of course, because they're always only going to put the interest into those that can help them instead of those they should help, or those that actually need help. There's even a line earlier, or later, way later in the movie, near the end. I can't remember his name. He's the sleazy Navy guy, really tall, like vertical striped suit, just sleazy looking. He's like, "Oh, we shoot some civilians, and suddenly pirates become heroes." And I was like, that's just so military. That's especially U.S. military. Yeah, they kill civilians and don't care. And then he's like, "Why are you blaming us for it?" Yeah. I was like, good. That was a good line, because that's just so true. Anyways, that's jumping ahead, because the Navy's terrible in this, of course. And the pirates do play here. Well, some of them. Actually, even the the Big Mom pirates are good in this too. There's also another random pirate crew. I don't know if they had a name. I don't remember. They seemed like they were going to try to be the first antagonistic group in here, and they didn't. Of course, they didn't last. They were going to be the ones to show you how strong the main characters are. Just you beat them up real quick, and maybe they come back to be a little bit trouble. No, they're shown again, but they pretty much get beat up right away. Let me actually talk what happened. So it jumps right away into Uda's concert. Apparently, it's the first time she's ever performed live, and I was immediately like, how the fuck did anybody ever see you? Because there's no technology. I forget snails are apparently just gods in this world. They can do everything. I don't know. The most technologically advanced things to ever exist are these snails. So they can do all this stuff. And then it also seems like it drops them right in this concert. It seems like this concert has so much technology to it. But it's all just Uda's devil fruit, the Sing Sing fruit's power. She's making everyone see this stuff. And it was really cool. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Also, I don't know how you know of all this stuff. It's still technology that you wouldn't have known about. So whatever. But ignore that. And then they're singing, blah, blah, blah. After her first number, exciting. The one, I'm pretty sure it's the one you see here in the trailer and all that. Then Luffy immediately jumps out, goes up to it, and is like, blah, 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 blah. And they eventually recognize each other after 12 years, I think it said. And then Luffy immediately drops the bomb like, "Oh, of course I know who she is. She's Shank's daughter." But also in the trailer, what the trailer doesn't say is they do all this. The pirate group I mentioned before comes in and tries to like they're going to try to take Uda, especially now because she's Shank's daughter. Then a couple of the Big Mom pirates show up and they're also going to try to get into it, and then the Striped Pirates get involved. You see Kobe and another person. I think is that his name. Yeah, he's like, don't worry, they got it. Uh, uh, and then big fight. Uda's like, oh, I'm gonna make all these pirates into a song. Kind of. It was kind of weird. That's another thing I want to look into. I guess I should have. Is like, what kind of musical research or background did they go into developing her powers and making them actually music matter? I don't know, like actually make sense with what she says. Anyway, she does this another song, so much powers and whatever, and pretty much just snags them all up besides the Straw Hats. Puts them all on music staff, and I was like, huh. It's like she said she was gonna make music, but like the way they were arranged didn't look like they were doing anything. Later, it's found out it's where their actual head, which makes a lot more sense now because of note heads and stuff, where they lie on the staffs. But also, some of it still didn't make sense either. I don't know. I'll get more into that later. Eventually, they're partying more, and she's like, everyone, let's have fun. And this is where I start going, okay. She's like, we can stay here as long as you want, kind of forever, and have a good time. We got food, blah, blah. I was like, okay, this is getting a little obsessive. And then I think this is where it starts getting clued in, like, they talk about the island a bit, how Shanks kind of left at a disaster, and I was like, that's suspicious too. It starts showing some of the top world government people, or yeah, and I was like talking about it, how they needed to capture Uda. I was like, okay, and it was going to make it seem like they're going to be the bad guys coming in, send the Navy, all but, and then Uda's like, hey, Luffy, and he's like, you should give up on being a pirate. I was like, huh. And then she gets her really obsessed away when he says no. She gets real upset. And then that's when all the shit changes and it reveals, like, yeah, pretty much Uda's going to be the main antagonist of this. And I was like, I called that pretty much right away. I was like who else? There's like no one else. I was like, they start talking about how there's a scene. It's like, oh yeah, there's definitely going to be a demon at this island. They mentioned, since they brought it, I was like, oh yeah, that's who they're going to end up fighting. I was like, it's all music related. Uda was left here on this island with only one guy. I was like, Uda's going to summon the demon for some reason, either tricked into it or trying to use its power or something like that. And then, like, I was like, but how did everyone? It's like, there's no way Shanks. And I immediately was like, Shanks must have visited this island with Uda. She sung. She accidentally got into something that summoned the demon, and the demon killed everyone except for her and the person that took care of her. And then Shanks had to be the ones to take care of it, and then they took the blame left. Nailed it. Nailed all that right off the bat. As soon as they mentioned the island, the demon, and Uda's power, I was like, oh, all this is the stuff that's going to happen. And it did. So that was very predictable. And then, of course, Uda eventually does. There's this whole power struggle of them trying to figure out what they're doing. And it turns out the part I didn't actually know was how Uda actually uses her power. And her power is actually sings, puts them to sleep, and puts them in like a dream world. Uh, and then she, not only that, she can use her unconscious bodies as long as she's still awake to also fight outside forces while they're stuck inside, and she can kind of go back and forth. She has to keep eating these mushrooms to keep herself awake, so that her own music doesn't put her to sleep, which you kind of see in a flashback too. That was one they like foreshadowed, like her music putting people asleep on purpose, way back in a flashback when it's showing her, but it also shows her asleep. So I guess her music also does that. So now, as an adult, she eats the mushrooms more. But yeah, it's pretty much like I said. She's trying to get everyone in control, be happy. So, I mean, her motivation is, everyone be peaceful and do all this stuff. But it's just done in the wrong way. And eventually, the truth gets revealed to everyone. They start freaking out, and then this really makes Uda snap. Um, and she goes dark, and that's where the music gets like really cool. And I wish I was in a better theater. But the Straw Hat Pirates and everyone else that was trapped on our music staffs escape. Uh, it's not Bartholomew. Barry? So, I don't know. The guy he was helping, Law was there. The bear guy who was more just comic relief. He shows up. The guy from Interpol or whatever, Centerpol, I don't know, who can the door to her fruit. He's there. They're all just pretty much running around the island trying to find out what's up, figure out what they're going to do. Kobe, I hope that's his name, figures out they're in a dream. Don't know how he knew that already or figured out. I guess he's just really smart. He is a hero and whatever. So it's all cool, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Oh yeah, they get out the stats because they have to sing whatever note their head is on. Brooks kind of sings it. Kobe writes out where their head's at on staff. And Brooks sings because he's a musician, but he was also obsessed with. He's like, it's great. It was a funny movie too, and Brooks is he's looking up, trying to see the stat. Not trying to see his stat. He's trying to see something. He looks up and he's just like, I can see you on your panties. I was like, okay. And he's like, I can see it. I can see the notes, but all I can see is the panties. I was like, okay, sure. There's some funny moments. So yeah, all you had to do is sing the note that's on. It's like, well, there's only so many notes, and it's like, does the octave matter? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, like, and the person who took care of Uda on the island, he also gets on staff at one point. He's just singing random notes. And it's like, there's only so many. Octave must have mattered. So, I don't know. But yeah, most of it is just kind of running around, trying to figure out what's going on. They eventually figure out they're kind of in this dream state, illusion state, whatever. The Navy shows up. They think they're going to be able to take Uda by just putting headphones on. But then that's when they realize she can control their bodies too. And they all start fighting. And then they are looking more into the secrets. The Straw Hats go to some library. They fight some of these big statue things for a bit. They never really explain their purpose. They were just there. But Robin eventually figures out how it's supposed to be fought. Eventually, Uda, if she sings a song, she'll summon like this demon. What was it called? I'm not even going to bother with the name. It was something weird and it made no sense to me. I'm sure the name has some kind of significance. If you watch it, you'll find it. But yeah, this demon, she sings, it'll summon it, and it'll be like a bridge between the two worlds. But in order to defeat it, they have to fight it simultaneously on both sides. Which, don't know exactly how that works. But whenever they first fought it, Shanks and his group first fought it, the only reason they beat it, I guess, is because Uda was still a child, and she fell asleep and lost consciousness before it could get its full power or get too strong or do whatever. I mean, it wiped out an entire island pretty much, so it must have been pretty strong either way. They didn't do that this time. So that part was kind of weird. I don't know if that's a flaw or something. Or maybe it's because Uda didn't have anyone else in the world, so it didn't have any power over there or something like that. I don't know. It was very brief, showing its first encounter. Pretty much just a flashback to show the truth as briefly as possible. But, yeah. This time, however, they had everyone in her dream world or whatever. And, like, she's the one that can bring him back, but of course she didn't want to do that. She can't die either, or maybe she fell asleep. Then, when she woke up, they'll all be freed along with her, because she's sung before. But she can't die for sure, because otherwise, apparently they will all be trapped there too. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, so they have to fight from both sides, and then the guy, what's his name? I watched this movie once. I couldn't take notes because I'm in a theater. It was dark, so I couldn't get everyone's name. I guess I could look him up. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, Shanks will be here." I was like, "Okay, well that's a bold whatever." But yeah, of course Shanks come. Of course everyone knows Shanks come. It's his, well, not really his name, but it's called Red, and Shanks is, the Red Pirate. I guess I don't know if we call him that. But yeah, of course he shows up. So now they have a way to fight on both sides. Uh, uh, there's some kind of sappy, a little bit emotional stuff between like some Shanks and Uda, and like kind of that, and how Uda's part of the red haired pirates or whatever. Everyone there is her family too, and that she had to be left behind for her protection. Because since he took blame, of course, that's all that stuff's understandable. Uh, but then it's like, okay, well, how are you going to coordinate? That was their biggest problem while they're fighting. Is like, how are you going to coordinate fighting at the same time? Woo! And this is where my boy Usopp comes in, because Yasop, or the observational master, whatever, from Big Mom Pirates shows up and is like, I can see the other side. And then Shanks is like, oh yeah, we have someone that has, hockey like that too. And so is Yasop. And then he's like, yeah, I can see my boy in there. Like, he has a lot to learn, but blah, blah, blah. And it's like, recognition. And then to make it even better, eventually Usopp is able to see and coordinate with his dad on the other side. It's like, yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure they've showed or at least hinted at Usopp's observational hockey before in the series. But this time, it really blew. So I was like, yes, get it. And they're like just going and they're like saying stuff in sync about which part to attack, and you're showing like at least two people on each side, each attacking and like combining the powers, and it was so exciting. This is an awesome climax, and just like it was so cool. uh yeah. And then of course they beat it, but then they beat it. um Shanks has the medicine because the mushroom's going to kill her, since she's eaten so much of them. But everyone's still not out of the dream state yet, and it's like, oh, it's too late, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, I have to sing them one more time to get them out. And she does, but she knocks the medicine away and breaks. She's coughing up blood, but she sings, and everyone gets out. Um, the Navy's still trying to arrest her, but then Shanks is just like, fuck all of you. He uses his Emperor Hockey, knocks out almost everyone except for literally the blind Navy dude, and of course his own crew, and then the vertical stripe douchey sleazy guy, Navy guy. And he even remarks like, wow, your hockey even knocked out all the like vice admirals and stuff like that. And I was like, damn, Shanks. And he's like, you don't often get to see emperor hockey. um so yeah, that was dope. Oh, it was so cool. And then that was kind of it. That's kind of where we're in. Navy retreats. It. I don't remember if they first say how many people died. People must have definitely died. Um, yeah, and then they wake up on the Sunny, and it's kind of Luffy's like, "Where's Shanks, Uda?" And you see their ships. And I don't think you can actually see Uda, but you do see like the red hair crowded around a table or something, and it looks kind of sad. And I think it's supposed to make you think Uda actually did die, but of course, since they don't show it, it's always possible she didn't. But who knows what it's actually going to be? Oh, because it really ties into there's a itty bitty after credit scene, for the main credits at least. I forgot to mention one of the weirdest parts, and they kind of showed this in the promotional stuff, especially I think Crunchyroll showed the Sunny for some reason turns into like a little itty bitty lion and runs around with them for a little bit and can fight alongside him. And then the door fruit guy, and then the bear lost buddy or whatever, I can't remember their names. They both of those turn tiny too because of things happen to them, or Door used his power too much. Bear just, I guess because of Udo's magic, turns small. It makes no sense. But the three of them kind of team up at a little point, so you just. But then the after credit scene shows like, well, Luffy trying to like poke at the figurehead of Sunny. It's like, Sunny, and like trying to get him out, and then of course nothing happens. But then Luffy's like, I want to be king of pirates, and that's it. That's the film in a nutshell. The Usopp thing, definitely my favorite part. Because before that, he didn't really have anything to him major happen. Or do anything. Really, none of them had anything super big. And that's why it was kind of confusing as to when this takes place. Because none of them really do anything too big. I think Luffy goes into Gear 4, like just just for a little bit, but he doesn't do anything that was that big. Uda does mention at one point, after all that, he never actually hit her. He's like, well, that's because you were still my friend, and blah, blah, blah. Fine, the big demon thing looked really cool. It looked like it had piano forearms and all that stuff. You know what is really disappointed is that, what's his face? The one that has piano forearm on his mouth. Unless he dies in the Kaido sometime in the Kaido fight, which he might have. I don't remember exactly if it showed it or yet or not. But like he was also the other music person, and he had a cool power. So too bad he wasn't there. But of course, I don't know exactly when this takes place. It definitely should be after the Kaido thing. It would make sense, especially where the story would be going next after Kaido. But you know, no huge moments from any individual. Nothing that would seem new. The coolest thing would either be Usopp and Yasop or Shanks Emperor Haki, and that was pretty much it. If anything, this was the biggest moment for Usopp. Which is just weird and random, but he's also always the coolest one. Actually, if I remember correctly from Stampede, he had also one of the biggest moments in that too. Or that ended up becoming one of the biggest moments. Usopp's just so cool. He's such an underrated character. Just strength-wise. Like, as far as an actual character, he's probably really well-liked or something. But as far as, like, strength and all the stuff he can do, I feel like he's just really underrated. He's a lot stronger than I feel like people give him credit for, especially now. But yeah, that is One Piece film, Red, kind of review. I try to keep it spoiler free and make sense. Kind of me also trying to rush through the actual story. A lot of it in the middle was kind of not really a slog. Like it was interesting stuff and it was figuring out what was going down and what was happening, and then it got a lot more actiony. But it did kind of feel slow and like not a lot I could really say about it that would be that interesting. So that's why I was kind of brief, but definitely worth watching. If you haven't watched One Piece, I feel like they try to make the film as, even if you don't know who the characters are, it'll at least be entertaining and flashy enough to watch. But it's definitely something like you would need to know. It'll be a lot better to know who all the characters are and what they do. But maybe that's another reason they don't show any of the big flashy stuff from any individual character. Because, you know, you don't want to be like, oh, well, what was this character actually doing? You don't, people, if they didn't know the series, they might want to try to focus too much on each character. Which this film could just give them a taste of it. Which makes it even weirder that Usopp gets such a big moment when nobody else does. I don't know. If you want just something flashy, actiony, and a little bit of story, a story isolated from the rest of the series, you don't need to know the whole details to enjoy it. Knowing everything would definitely help you enjoy it, but you can still give it a try. If you know a little bit about it, it'll probably help a lot too. But like some people I talked to, I was trying to get to go watch it with me, didn't really know, and I was like, I feel like even though you know a little, that'd be enough. And you know who Shanks is, you might not even need to. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I would kind of wish I would watch it with someone who didn't know anything about One Piece and see what they thought about it too. Huh. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll find someone to talk to them individually. That'd be just for me. I can't do that now, obviously, because I'm live and talking right now. But, my drink, okay. It's nothing amazing. I was worried about how the rum would mix with the Red's ale. Not too bad. And syrup, I thought might make it a little weird. Not too bad. Because I put a lot in of all of them. Not equal parts, but whatever. But yeah, I need to get more creative with my drinks. I don't know when the next One Piece film is going to be. I was so hyped for this one. And I felt like it actually did live up to expectations. Maybe it's because the past couple films have let me down. The Jujutsu Kaisen film I thought was really good. But Sword Art, The Last My Hero, Sword Art, I kind of expected it not to be great. And then My Hero just wasn't that great. But then Demon Slayer, I didn't think was that terrific. So I felt like it was a little bit of a rut. But then, like before that, the other My Hero Academia and then One Piece Stampede, those are also great. So maybe it's just me, but this is definitely one of the better ones. I don't feel like it's going to get as much attention as it should, even though there's been so much promotion for it. I don't think we're going to get another Demon Slayer in a long time. And that one was still, I still don't know how that one happened. I think it was just timing or whatever. It just happened to be, since this is doesn't matter. I don't know. One Piece is so long. Even if this did go fit in somewhere specifically in the series, just like Demon Slayer did, I don't know. I don't know exactly how that will, if it would have been better or worse. I think because of how long One Piece is, maybe it is better that they're still doing these isolated, one-off kind of stories. And but who knows? Uda could still come back, so maybe this will be matter to the rest of the overall story. Who knows? I don't know where the rest of the manga goes. I don't know where the anime's going, so there's no way to tell. Whew. But I guess that's it. I could just keep rambling on, but otherwise it'll be too long. I said what I said. I said what I wanted to say. All the main points, kind of out of order and whatever. Shanks was cool. Uda's thing was really cool. Watched it dubbed. My mistake. Watched it in not great theater. Not really much I could do about that. Music was really cool. That's one of the best things. Watching it in a theater, that's just great audio presentation. That's the main thing I want anyone to take away from this. Because I felt like that would really enhance the experience. I've seen some people had it in 4D. That would be awesome. That would be really fun. I saw Premiere like that. That was really cool. But yeah, that's it for this. That's it for One Piece film, Red. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for that. Before I ramble on more. And that means that is it for this episode of Alcohol and Anime. Woo, it's been a while. It feels good to be back and doing this again. Wow, how did I end these things? So yeah, if you want to see more, of course, I guess if you're listening to this, not on Twitch, where I'm doing it live, which I'm going to be trying to do every other week, because this is supposed to be a bi-weekly podcast, it's not really that much. You can listen to it pretty much any podcast platform. I also put it on my YouTube. You can find it there. Hey, like it, rate it 5 stars. I don't think I ever say that part. Rate it. Rate it wherever you want. I would prefer 5 stars, but I know it's a drunk rambling mess. Of course, follow my Twitch too to see these live. I'm going to try to do every single one of them live now. Even if I have guests, and maybe not. I don't know. If you want to say things, leave comments and stuff too, or Spotify / Anchor lets me give you questions and stuff like that, and you can do all that. You can also follow me on so many social medias: Twitter, Facebook, the AC Stories, Instagram, the _AC _stories, emails, theacstories@gmail.com, all that stuff. You can find me everywhere, and I'll respond. You tell me, DM me, do whatever. I don't know. Get in touch with me somehow. I want to talk about this. You got suggestions, films you want to see? I have a whole bunch I want to talk about, but I feel like I should focus on ones that are relevant. And that's why I finally did this one, because it's brand new, and all the other ones are not as brand new. So yeah, do all that stuff. Get in touch with me. Let's talk. I don't know. You want to be a guest on here or whatever. I mean, it's over the internet and whatever, and you gotta provide your own drinks. But, yeah, we'll do whatever. Talk about some anime, drink some alcohol or water. I don't know. You drink whatever. I'm going to be drinking alcohol because I'm the host and I have to do that. So, this is more rambling. Anyways, so, thank you so much for listening. Do all that stuff I was just mentioned. But, until next time, I'm the AC. Bye.